Story 1. I was 15 when ICE raided our building in Newark, New Jersey. They said they were rounding up illegals, but the moment their boots hit the basement, people didn't just get arrested or deported, they vanished. Completely. Like they'd never existed. When I tried to tell someone what I saw down there, they looked at me like I was crazy. That unit doesn't exist, they said. It never did. It started with the boots. Heavy, synchronized thuds shaking the stairwell of our old apartment building. I was half asleep, tangled in my sheets, when Mom burst into my room. Her face was pale, her eyes wild with fear. She didn't say much, just shoved a thick yellow envelope into my chest. It was heavy, stuffed with papers, our birth certificates, medical cards, everything that proved we were real. Go to the basement, she whispered in Spanish, her voice trembling. Hide. Don't talk. Don't move. I tried to ask, what about you? But she just pushed me toward the basement door, her hands cold and shaking. The boots were getting louder. The hallway light flickered, buzzing like a dying insect. The air smelled of old paint and rust, thick enough to choke on. I clutched the envelope and ran down the stairwell, my sneakers slapping against the concrete steps. The boots echoed above me, closer now. But when I reached the basement, everything went quiet. Too quiet. I whispered, Mom. No answer. Just the low hum of the furnace vibrating through the walls. Then I saw a door at the end of the hall I'd never noticed before. Unit B6. It didn't belong here. Unit B6 wasn't like the other storage units. The door was metal, thick, dented, and cracked open just enough to spill a faint blue light into the hall. It pulsed, slow and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. I stepped closer, my breath catching in my throat. Then I heard her voice, faint but unmistakable. Mijo. It was Mom, whispering from inside. They're not who they say they are. Don't let them see you. My heart pounded. I didn't know what she meant, but the fear in her voice was enough. I pushed the door open. The air inside Unit B6 was freezing, like stepping into a meat locker. My breath fogged in front of me. The walls weren't the usual cinder block, they were stone, old and blackened with soot, like something from a forgotten century. I turned to look back at the basement hallway, and my blood ran cold. An ICE agent stood in the doorway, mid-step, frozen like a statue. His eyes were blank, his body unnaturally still, as if time itself had stopped outside the room. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Something was wrong here, very wrong. Inside, Unit B6 was empty. No boxes, no shelves, just a single wall covered in chalked names. Dozens, maybe hundreds, scrawled in shaky handwriting. Some had dates next to them: 1973, 1985, 2002, up to last week. My eyes scanned the list, and then I saw it. Mateo Morales, 2T25. My name, my year. I hadn't written it. My hands shook as I stared, trying to make sense of it. Then I felt it, a hot, heavy breath on the back of my neck. Something was behind me. I spun around. In the corner of the room stood figures faint, translucent, like ghosts caught in the blue light. Children in tattered clothes, parents clutching invisible hands, old men in work boots. Their eyes were pure white, their mouths sewn shut with shimmering thread. One stepped forward, a woman in a faded blouse. Her name tag read, Carmen Ruiz, detained 1997. She reached for me, her cold fingers brushing my hand. Suddenly, I remembered her Mrs. Ruiz, who used to bring us tamales when I was little. She'd disappeared years ago. Now she was here, trapped in this room. The door creaked behind me. Another ICE agent stepped inside. But he wasn't like the frozen one in the hall. This one moved wrong, his limbs too fluid. Like a puppet jerking on strings, his badge flickered, glitching like a broken screen, and his face blurred, shifting in and out of focus. "Return what was taken," he said, his voice a low growl that didn't sound human. "Or join them." His jaw unhinged, revealing rows of jagged teeth, too long for any mouth. I bolted, my heart slamming against my ribs. I stumbled through the basement, desperate for a way out. Behind the furnace, half hidden in the brick wall, I found it a circular door, sealed shut but warm to the touch, like it was alive. I fumbled with the envelope Mom gave me and found something I hadn't noticed before. A bone key, smooth and pulsing faintly in my hand. It felt wrong, but I didn't have a choice. I slid it into the lock. The door groaned open, revealing not a room but a tunnel, dark and endless. The tunnel wasn't just a passage, it was alive. The walls were damp, throbbing like flesh, and the air was thick with whispers in every language. Names floated past me, glowing faintly, then fading into the dark. And there, in the middle of it all, was Mom. She stood surrounded by shadows that clung to her like chains, her face pale but calm. "You opened it," she said softly. "Now you can't forget." Her eyes locked on mine, and I saw something in them, fear, but also a warning. The shadows tightened around her. I reached for her, but the shadows surged, pulling her back. "One out, one in," they hissed, their voices scraping inside my skull. The ICE agent stood at the tunnel's entrance, watching, waiting. I looked at the envelope again. Inside were our names, mine, Mom's, and one I didn't recognize. Miguel Morales, 1952. My grandfather. Mom never talked about him, but I knew he'd disappeared long before I was born. The shadows wanted a trade, and I was holding the price. I ran back through the tunnel, the walls pulsing faster, the whispers louder. I stumbled past the furnace, back to Unit B, to the whispering wall with its endless names. My hands shook as I pulled a match from my pocket and struck it. I held the flame to the envelope. The paper caught fire, and the names on the wall began to burn too. One by one, the shadows behind the wall screamed, a sound that tore through me. Just before the light went out, I saw Mom's face clear, free, smiling. The next morning, the building was quiet. No vans, no agents, no trace of the raid. Neighbors swore it never happened. Mom's room was empty, her bed untouched, like she'd never lived there. I showed the landlord her ID, but he just stared at me. "Kid, that apartment's been vacant for 6 years," he said. I checked my phone. My school records, nothing. No trace of her. No trace of us. It was like we'd been erased. I tried to move on, but nothing was the same. My name stopped showing up on school rosters. My reflection in the mirror blinked when I didn't. Some nights, I dreamed of that hallway, of Unit B6. In the dreams, I'm the one standing in the corner, my eyes white, my mouth sewn shut, waiting. I wake up sweating, my hands clutching at nothing, but I can still hear that heartbeat, that whisper, calling me back. They sealed the basement after that, pouring cement over the wall where Unit B6 used to be, but it doesn't matter. Some nights, I hear it, the heartbeat, the whisper, her voice. "Mijo, it's still there, waiting." I don't go near the basement anymore. But I know it's not gone. It's just waiting for the next name. Some people say ICE took their family, their neighbors, their lives. But I think ICE was just a mask. A new face for something older, something hungrier. It feeds on fear, on memory, on names. So if you hear those boots in the stairwell, if they come for you, don't run to the basement. Whatever's down there doesn't deport you. It erases you. Story 2. My name is Michael Dean. I was hired to decommission an abandoned ICE detention center in Fresno, California. They told me the facility was empty, shut down since 2020. They lied. Behind the freezer door, I found a hallway that wasn't on any blueprint. Inside that hallway were people still breathing, still frozen, some whispering my name. One of them was me. The Fresno ICE Detention Center was a concrete tomb, abandoned after a lawsuit forced its closure in 2020. My job as a safety engineer was simple. Check the temperature, inspect the electrical systems, and sign off on the demolition paperwork. Easy money. But when I arrived, the place felt wrong. The main power was cut, yet the industrial freezer in the basement was still running, humming like a living thing. The gauge read negative 28 degrees, far colder than it should have been. I stood there, breath fogging in the air, wondering why the hell it was still on. Then I heard a faint tapping, like fingernails against metal, coming from inside the freezer. It wasn't loud, but it was deliberate. I checked the lock. It was rusted but unlatched. Against every instinct, I pulled the handle. The door groaned open, releasing a blast of frigid air and thick fog. No bodies, no dry ice, just an impossible sight. A hallway stretching into darkness, descending where no basement level was supposed to exist. The metal staircase was slick with condensation, each step echoing in the void. Flickering fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting jagged shadows. On the concrete wall, someone had scrawled in red, "Detainees below have forgotten themselves. Do not remind them." My heart stopped when I saw the photograph pinned beside it, a Polaroid of the demolition crew, with me standing in the center. I'd never posed for that picture. I'd never even met those people. A door labeled Room 12 stood ajar down the hall. Inside, a man slumped against the wall, his skin purple from the cold but his chest rising faintly. I shook him, my hands trembling. His eyes snapped open, and he spoke in my voice. "You finally made it back." I stumbled backward, my mind racing. His face wasn't mine, but those words they were. I ran, my boots pounding the icy floor. I found an office at the end of the hall, its door half open. Inside, a printer whirred, spitting out a single sheet. Decommission unit. Jose Alvarez. Status: for getting initiated. My name is Michael Dean, not Jose. I fumbled for my wallet. My ID confirming it Michael Dean. Born 1985. But on the office computer, my face stared back under a different name. Jose Alvarez. ICE escapee. 2003. My pulse hammered. Who was I? A shadow moved behind the frosted glass door. A man in an ICE uniform stepped into view. His face blurred like a smudged photograph. No badge. No name tag. "Who authorized you to be here?" I demanded. He tilted his head, smiling faintly. "I've been here longer than you," I pressed. "Since when?" His smile widened. "Since you chose to forget." I slipped into a data room, its shelves lined with old cassette tapes, each labeled with detainee numbers. One caught my eye. Jose Alvarez, Session 14. He still thinks he's the technician. I jammed it into a dusty player. The screen flickered. showing grainy footage of me or someone identical walking down this very hallway, checking gauges. Oblivious. The tape ended with static, but I swear I heard my own voice whispering, "Don't look back." At the end of the corridor was a final door, unmarked. I pushed it open and froze. The room was a deep freezer, its walls pulsing like a living lung. On the floor lay dozens of people, encased in ice but breathing shallowly, their eyes darting beneath frozen lids. In the center was another me, lying still. Then his eyes opened, locking onto mine. I choked out. "Why is this happening?" The other me rasped. "To escape. You have to forget your name, your crimes, why ICE locked you away. If you remember, they freeze you again." His voice was calm, like he'd accepted it. I hadn't. I couldn't. But fragments were clawing their way back, memories that weren't mine. Or maybe they were. It hit me like a flood. I was Jose Alvarez. In 2003, I'd crossed the border with my mother. We were caught, separated. I was sent here. And then nothing. The life of Michael Dean College. Engineering. My apartment in Fresno was a lie. A memory planted to keep me compliant. Whatever ran this place had rewritten me. But now I was waking up. I found the main power box and yanked the cables. The freezer's hum turned to a dying screech. The ice around the bodies began to crack, steam rising as they thawed. Some woke, screaming, "Don't make me remember." Others melted into black sludge, their forms dissolving. Only a few staggered to their feet, eyes wide but alive. I realized the truth. Only those who could hold on to their real selves survived. I sprinted to the IT room, where a lone server glowed red. Its screen flashed, restoring memory snapshots. User, Jose Alvarez. I smashed the keyboard, yelling, "Stop it." No response. But in the monitor's reflection, I saw myself sitting at the console, smiling. Was I fighting the system or was I part of it? I woke up in the parking lot, my clothes damp with sweat. The detention center loomed behind me, its windows dark. My phone showed articles claiming the facility closed in 2020, but a government database listed it as operational. Worse, it listed me, Michael Dean, memory supervisor. No one at the demolition company remembered hiring me. It was like I'd never existed. Every night, I dream of that hallway. The freezer door creaks open, and a figure in an ice hazmat suit whispers, "Forget, and you'll live." But if I forget, who will tell this story? I can't shake the feeling that I'm still down there, frozen, waiting for someone to open the door. If someone you know vanished inside an ICE facility, maybe they weren't deported. Maybe they were archived. If you hear the hum of cold air behind a sealed door, don't open it. What's inside isn't frozen. It's waiting. Story 3. My name is Alex Torres, a summer intern at the ICE office in El Paso. Every morning, I open an internal deportation list on a secure computer. It's a simple task, until the names start appearing. Names no one in the office entered. First, it was my neighbor. Then, my college roommate. And one day, it was my own name. After each new name, there's a knock at my door in the dead of night. I'm a junior political science major at UTEP. Thrilled to land an internship at ICE. My first day is a blur of badges, locked doors, and a cubicle with an ancient Dell. My supervisor, Ms. Hargrove, hands me a single task. Open an Excel file called Export Master V15. Secure. Review it, and mark it complete. No internet. No printing. No questions. Just do the job, she says, her eyes avoiding mine. The spreadsheet loads slowly. Rows of names and addresses in cold black text. I mark it done and go home, feeling like I've stepped into something bigger than I understand. The next morning, the list has 139 names. At the bottom of the screen, a note reads, "Last updated. Unknown." I hit refresh to test the system, and a new name appears 140 now. No one else in the office bats an eye. I ask a coworker, Jim, if the system auto-updates. He shrugs, his face blank, and mutters, "Just mark it." By noon, 3 more names appear. No one acknowledges them. It's like they're all in on a secret I'm not allowed to know. On day 3, a name catches my eye. Victor Padilla, Apt 3C. My exact apartment complex. Victor's my downstairs neighbor, a mechanic who fixed my flat tire last month. I laugh it off as a coincidence, but my stomach churns. 2 days later, I pass by Apt 3C on my way home. The door's wide open. Lights off. Victor's tools. His couch. His TV, they're all there. Untouched. But he's gone. No moving truck. No goodbye. Just an empty apartment. I corner Ms. Hargrove about Victor's name on the list. She cuts me off. Market reviewed. Alex. Don't dig? That night, at midnight, my work email pings. No sender. Just a subject line. Protocol A engaged. Do not interfere. The message is blank. The next morning, I get a text from a friend back at college. My old roommate, Sam, packed up and left without a word. His social media's gone, like he never existed. One morning, the list looks different. 5 names are in bold red, each followed by a cryptic string of numbers, like 4719X2. I cross-check them in the ICE database against protocol and find they're all people detained over a decade ago, marked deported. Yet their files show recent updates, new addresses, new photos. One photo shows a man standing in a park I recognize from El Paso. Time-stamped last week. He was deported in 2011, late one night. I'm poking around the system and stumble on a hidden drive. Inside is a file. Mirror list V01. It's not Excel. It's a database of black and white webcam shots, each tied to a name from the list. I scroll, heart pounding. And there I am, a grainy image of me at my desk, taken the previous night. I never saw a camera. I slam the laptop shut, my reflection staring back from the dark screen. At 2:17 Mao, I wake to 3 slow, heavy knocks on my apartment door. I creep to the peephole, nothing but an empty hallway. My phone's dead, even though it was charging. At work the next day, the list has a new entry. Unconfirmed target, floor 5 resident. I live on the 5th floor. My hands shake as I mark it complete, wondering if I just signed my own death warrant. I lose it. After hours, I log into the system and delete the entire list, every name, every file. I watch the screen go blank, my breath ragged. An hour later, the system reboots. The list is back, longer than ever. At the bottom, my name glows in red. Alex Torres, marked for completion. Awaiting acknowledgement. I try to log out, but the screen freezes on my name. The office printer, unplugged and ancient, whirs to life at 3 p. Ma'am, it spits out a single sheet. You cannot be both observer and subject. I spin around, expecting a prank, but the office is empty. My chair, which I left pushed in, is pulled out. The seat is warm, like someone just stood up. My coworkers start acting strange. Jim calls me kid instead of Alex. My badge disappears from my desk. I call my mom, but the line crackles with a long, hollow sigh before cutting out. I text friends from college, they don't respond. Or worse, they ask, "Who is this?" I check my Instagram, my account's gone. It's like I'm being erased. And everyone seems relieved I'm fading. Desperate. I dig into the list's back end. It's not just Excel, there's code. Layers of it. Buried in the system. When a name is marked complete, it triggers a low-frequency sound pulse from nearby devices. I record it on my phone. It's not random noise. It's a pattern. Like a signal. I read about sonic rituals online. Old stories of sounds used to summon something. I stop sleeping. I decide to quit. I grab my bag and head for the exit. But my keycard doesn't work. Through the glass doors, El Paso's streets look wrong blurry, like a glitching video. I bang on the glass, shouting, but no one outside turns. Then I hear it. 3 knocks, slow and heavy, from the print room down the hall. The door's ajar, but no one's inside. I hack into the office's security cameras, breaking every rule. Footage from the last month shows people marked deported vanishing. Not escorted out. Not driven away, they just dissolve. Right where they stand. No agents, no vans. Victor, Sam, the red names they weren't taken. They were called somewhere else. Somewhere the cameras can't see. The list updates one final time. Every name is gone except one. The one who saw too much. I refresh, and the screen goes black. My reflection stares back, but behind me, the office is wrong. It's covered in dust, chairs overturned, like no one's worked here in years. I turn around, the real office is normal. The screen isn't a screen anymore, it's a mirror. If you're interning somewhere you don't understand, if you see a list that grows without explanation, get out. Don't wait for your name to appear. Don't wait for the knocks to start. Because once that door opens, whatever's on the other side, it's been waiting for you all along.